Is it a brilliant matchmaking idea, or does it reek of desperation?
I think it could work because the one thing about having friends in this stage of life in your late 20s is you have a lot of friends that are either in serious relationships or they're, God forbid, married. And they always just want to tell you to get out there, put yourself out there, get on the apps, go on more dates. We want to go on more double dates. And you just want to be like, somebody find a solution for me. And this guy on TikTok, it's at ArcNoBite. I think he's come up with the perfect incentive to get my coupled friends to set me up with their available single friends.
Look, the dating apps are out. Run clubs are oversaturated. Let me get you on the hottest new dating concept. Someone recently told me about this concept of a relationship bounty, and I think it's changed my life. My friend is personally putting up $300 so that if you set them up with someone they get into a relationship with, you get the $300. So that in itself is a pretty cool concept, especially because it just gives incentives for your friends to set you up. But my friend came up with one of the best derivatives of this concept called the Dating Referral Program. I'll get out of the way. Are you kidding me? Referred candidates are often higher quality compared to those of traditional recruiting channels. And she put a tiered incentive structure into here. Early submission bonus to get a friendship bracelet. If she goes on a first date, that's a free cocktail. I'll get out of the way. But if she goes on a second date, that's a homemade batch of cookies. Look at these incentives to go long term. If she marries the referral, you get first class travel and accommodation to the wedding. I feel like people need to take this concept and just run with it. Dates will be flocking to you.
I mean, y'all have tried my banana pudding. I'm willing to whip up some batches in exchange for a man who I don't hate.
The incentive program is what sold me. I'm like, this is brilliant. Like, if you gave your friends, all right, here you go. And then you have like the different stages that you make in a relationship. And if you hit each one, I will reward you with the incentive.
Abby, can we follow up with this tomorrow? Can you put an incentive program together for the members of the Bert Show?
Ooh. Okay.
Tiered the same way that it was just explained to us to give us even more incentive to find you the man.
Okay.
And listeners.
And listeners. Okay. I feel like I almost need to tailor it to each person. Like, I feel like what would be appealing to you would not be the same thing that would be appealing for you.
That's fair.
I don't know. I think it needs to be. I think you can do it generically for everybody and still make it enticing.
First class airfare is going to work for everybody.
It's so funny that Kristen is so excited about this because, Kristen, just looking back on your matchmaking.
Suck it, Tommy.
If you were to get money, let's say $100 for each match made, how much money would you have today?
You'd owe a lot of money.
You can't say you owe somebody money.
When she found out matchmaking, she's just like clapping. Yay! No, nothing for me.
What's that, Mo?
No, I was just gonna say the way KK be playing it, you might be in the negative.
No, you can't. You don't put that in your incentive program. That if we set you up with a dud, like we end up having to pay you, that would be so jacked up.
I love this. Actually. No, y'all brought yourselves into this mess. If there's an incentive, there's going to be some consequences as well if they suck.
So, yes, the joke is, because it's so funny, because it's true. I have tried setting up numerous people over the years on the Bert Show. I've been attempting matchmaking for over a decade with people on the show, with people in the building, with listeners.
Remember that time you tried to set up a coworker with a 19-year-old and he was like 50?
Okay.
Yeah,
Doug was not 50 and Heather was not 19, all right?
It was pretty close.
It wasn't. No, it
there
wasn't.
There was enough of a generational gap.
It was.
Where they said this is never going to work.
Hey, she presents older, he presents younger.
That's what they all say.
Let's just say, Abby, a previous member on this show, I tried to set up. It failed. Listeners, I have failed. We brought people's pets into the mix. We tried to do a pet matchmaking. That failed. I am not good when it comes to setting people up.
Did you get one?
I've never gotten one.
I thought there was one.
I thought there was one too.
Well, okay. So they went on some dates and they liked each other, but it didn't go. It didn't go long term.
Okay. That was her
But it wasn't like that's when we got in this huge debate as what constitutes a successful matchmake. Like, do they have to get married for it to be a success, or if they just have like a relationship and they date, is that considered successful if they break up?
All right, let's use this as a good example.
Because if that's so, I got one.
Okay. Because let's use our latest example on the Bert Show, and that is me setting up my ex-wife with Joe. They are about to live for happily ever after. Okay. So what you're now, it's been a couple of months. And if you guys weren't listening to this, we did this segment on the show where people would email, and I'm a big fan of my ex-wife. I really am. So we got a bunch of emails about it. I set her up on a date, and sure enough, these two have fallen in love, man. I mean, he's met her family. They're hanging out with each other all the time. This thing has got legs. So we're a couple of months into it. So if it were to fizzle out now, then I would get no credit at all, right?
No, I think you made a success. I don't know.
I think it is.
I think I don't think that would be considered successful.
They said the L word to each
I
other
do. Yeah.
on the radio.
Yeah. I think the L word makes it successful.
Even if it don't go a year.
Yeah, because if you say the L word,
They're going a year.
like sometimes you can fall in love and it's just not meant to be long term, but it's still meant something, right? Like it's just a season. I think that's impactful because if you say I love you to somebody, you'll remember them forever.
No, I think this is a wussification of matchmaking. I think if
so
they don't,
too.
I think if they don't go the distance, then it's not a success.
Well, then you got no shot at all.
I know.
I mean,
You might as well get as many people in a boat with you as you can.
all right. So tomorrow morning around this time, can you do this?
I
An
can do it.
incentive program for us if we set you up different layers, right? And with obviously the top layer, I like the first class ticket to the wedding.
Yeah, I'm sure you do my bank account down.
Yep.
The Bert Show.